Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going all the way back to the Old Testament book of Genesis to explore the life of Joseph.
Oh yeah, Joseph.
Now, you've probably heard the basic outline of his story. I mean, sold into slavery, ends up in Egypt, rises to power. It's quite a journey.
It really is, and it's a story that's been told and retold for centuries. But what's so fascinating is that it's not just some ancient fairy tale. It's a story packed with insights about leadership, integrity, resilience, things that are just as relevant today as they were back then.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So let's dive into those insights. What made Joseph so exceptional, even when facing incredible odds? Like, where do we even begin with a story this epic?
Well, we could start with his early success in Egypt. I mean, think about it. He's ripped away from his family, sold into slavery, ends up in a completely foreign land, and yet somehow he manages to not just survive, but thrive.
It's true. He ends up in Potiphar's house and pretty quickly rises to a position of authority. It almost seems like every time Joseph faces a setback, he finds a way to not just land on his feet, but excel. What's the secret sauce here?
Well, the text repeatedly emphasizes that the Lord was with Joseph. Now, this phrase can be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Right.
But at its core, it suggests this source of strength and resilience that kind of transcended his circumstances. It could be divine intervention. It could represent the inner strength he got from his faith. Different interpretations are out there, but it definitely played a role in his success.
So it's not just dumb luck or coincidence. There's something about Joseph's character, perhaps strengthened by his faith, that allows him to not just survive, but thrive in tough situations.
Exactly. And it's not just blind faith either. I mean, we see Joseph demonstrating real practical wisdom and competence. Think about the fact that Potiphar entrusted him with everything, like literally everything.
Yeah.
Even saying that the only thing he kept for himself was the bread which he ate. That's a crazy level of trust, especially for that time period.
Yeah, it's almost like Potiphar saw something in Joseph, some quality that just screamed trustworthiness.
Yeah.
But of course, things get a little more complicated, shall we say. When Potiphar's wife enters the picture, this is where things take a pretty interesting turn.
This is where the rubber meets the road in terms of Joseph's integrity. Potiphar's wife, she's clearly attracted to Joseph and makes some pretty forward advances.
Yeah.
Now remember, this isn't just casual flirting. She's in a position of power, and Joseph is a slave. He's risking everything by rejecting her.
And that's what's so striking about this part of the story. He doesn't just refuse out of loyalty to Potiphar. He flat out says it would be a sin against God. He's operating from this deep-seated moral compass.
Right.
A sense of right and wrong that dictates his actions, even when faced with a very tempting and dangerous situation.
Yeah, and that's a key point here. Joseph's decision isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's rooted in a principled understanding of right and wrong. He's demonstrating integrity that's rare even in much less complicated circumstances. It makes you think, how often do we compromise our own values even a little bit when we face tough choices?
That's a really good question to think about. But unfortunately for Joseph, doing the right thing doesn't lead to a reward. Actually, it kind of leads to a pretty terrible outcome.
Oh yeah, it does. When Joseph turns her down, Potiphar's wife, enraged and vengeful, accuses him of assault.
Wow.
She claims that he tried to mock her, and it's very likely she's playing on societal prejudices to make her story more believable.
Of course.
It's a classic case of turning the tables, using a lie to protect her reputation and punish Joseph for his integrity.
It's a harsh reminder that sometimes, even when you do the right thing, you can still face incredibly difficult consequences.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how do you stay strong in your convictions when it seems like the world is punishing you for it?
That's a question that Joseph's story really grapples with. He ends up imprisoned, falsely accused, seemingly abandoned. But even in this incredibly dark place, we still see that resilience, that strength of character shining through.
So what happens next? How does Joseph navigate this insanely challenging situation? I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the injustice of it all.
Right. Oh.
Falsely accused in prison for doing the right thing. But what really strikes me is that Joseph doesn't let this experience break him.
That's one of the most amazing things about this story. Even in prison, we see that same theme, the Lord being with Joseph. Now, whether you interpret that literally or metaphorically, it points to something deeper, this inner strength, this refusal to be defined by his circumstances.
Right. So instead of giving in to despair, he finds a way to thrive, even in prison, which is pretty incredible. How does he pull that off?
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? I mean, the text seems to suggest that he found ways to serve to make a positive impact, even within those prison walls. It's as though he recognized that his circumstances didn't have to define his worth or his ability to contribute.
That's a powerful lesson right there. It's easy to feel powerless when things are tough.
Yeah,
But Joseph shows us that even then, we still have a choice in how we respond.
exactly. And this mindset, this proactive approach, it ultimately sets the stage for his rise to power. Remember, Joseph had this reputation for interpreting dreams, even back in his father's household. And this skill becomes super important when Pharaoh himself starts having some troubling dreams that none of his advisors can figure out.
Ah, yes. The classic troubled ruler needs wise counsel scenario. So Joseph finally gets his chance to shine, but the stakes are pretty high, right? He's got to impress Pharaoh.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure is definitely on the show. Pharaoh describes these dreams filled with imagery, like fat cows and thin cows, healthy grain and withered grain. It's a lot to unpack, even for someone skilled in dream interpretation.
Yeah, I can imagine. Those dreams sound pretty intense.
They were definitely seen as a bad omen by the court, but Joseph, totally unfazed, steps up and gives this remarkably clear and confident interpretation. He explains that the dreams foretell 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine.
Wow. So he's not just interpreting dreams, he's predicting the economic future of Egypt.
Yeah.
Talk about a high-stakes presentation.
It really is a pivotal moment in the story, but what's even more impressive is that Joseph doesn't just stop at the interpretation. He actually goes a step further and proposes a plan to Pharaoh, a detailed strategy for stockpiling grain during the good years to prepare for the famine.
So he's not just a dreamer, he's a problem solver. Sees the big picture and comes up with a practical solution.
Precisely. And Pharaoh, recognizing Joseph's wisdom and foresight, is blown away. Think about it. He appoints Joseph, a former slave and prisoner, as second in command over all of Egypt. It's really a testament to the power of competence and character to overcome pretty much anything.
It's an amazing comeback story. From prisoner to prime minister, all thanks to his integrity, his resilience, and it's a pretty amazing dream interpretation skills.
It's a powerful reminder that real leadership isn't about titles or positions. It's about inspiring trust, offering wise counsel, and navigating complex situations with integrity and vision.
It's amazing how Joseph's story goes from this horrible low point of imprisonment to this incredible high point of leadership. But there's another layer here, a layer that goes even deeper than leadership skills or political savvy.
Yeah, you're right. It involves probably the most challenging test of Joseph's character, his reunion with his brothers.
Oh yeah, his brothers.
I mean, these are the same guys who betrayed him, who sold him into slavery. It's hard to imagine a more emotionally charged family reunion.
Seriously. It'd be like Thanksgiving dinner with a side of intense drama and a whole lot of baggage. But really, after all they put him through, wouldn't he be justified in seeking revenge? I mean, wouldn't that be the natural human response?
Oh, he definitely had every reason to be angry, to hold a grudge. But what's remarkable is that Joseph chooses a different path. He chooses forgiveness and reconciliation over revenge.
That's incredible. To not only forgive, but to reconcile with people who hurt you that badly. It takes a special kind of strength. How did he get to that point? How did he overcome what must have been years of pain and resentment?
Well, the text suggests that his faith played a huge role in his ability to forgive. He famously says to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." It's a powerful statement that shows a belief in a larger plan, a divine purpose that goes beyond the immediate pain of betrayal.
So it's not just about letting go of anger. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding that even terrible events can lead to something good.
Exactly. And this perspective, this ability to find meaning in suffering, is what allowed Joseph to offer genuine forgiveness. It's a profound example of grace and a testament to his deep faith and his understanding of God's providence.
It's a good reminder that forgiveness, while incredibly difficult, can be transformative, both for the person offering it and the person receiving it. It breaks the cycle of resentment and opens the door to healing and reconciliation.
And it's not just some feel-good concept either. Think about what happens in Joseph's story. By forgiving his brothers, he not only saves them from starvation, but he ensures the survival of his whole family and ultimately plays a key role in saving the Egyptian people from famine. Forgiveness, in this case, had some serious, far-reaching consequences.
It makes you think about the power of forgiveness in our own lives, in our own relationships. It's easy to get caught up in the hurt and the desire for payback. But Joseph's story shows us that forgiveness, however difficult, can be a catalyst for something much greater.
Joseph's journey gives us so much to think about: leadership lessons, ethical dilemmas, the power of resilience. But I think ultimately one of the most enduring takeaways is the power of forgiveness. It's a reminder that even when faced with the worst kind of betrayal, there's always a choice, a path toward healing and reconciliation.
It reminds us that holding on to anger and resentment ultimately only hurts us. Choosing to forgive as Joseph did can open the door to a deeper understanding of grace, redemption, and the possibility of a brighter future.
It's a powerful testament to the strength of character and the enduring belief in the possibility of good, even when things seem incredibly dark.
Well, that was an incredible deep dive. We explored Joseph's journey from slavery to leadership, his unwavering integrity, his amazing resilience, and ultimately, his inspiring capacity for forgiveness.
It's a story that continues to resonate thousands of years later, reminding us of the enduring power of character, faith, and the transformative potential of forgiveness.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you found this deep dive insightful and thought-provoking. And as you go about your week, remember the lessons of Joseph's journey and ask yourself, how can you embody these qualities, integrity, resilience, and forgiveness in your own life? Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.